to go back and review, then you'll be able to go back and review it through the video that I'll post up on our Google Classroom. So let's see. Ooh, neat. All right. So is everybody able to see my classroom screen right here?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. The screen sharing is a little bit different on Google Meet versus Zoom. So I'm glad that you are able to see it. So here is our Google Classroom, where pretty much all of the major information that you need to know and keep up with for this class is going to be posted. So obviously, since you all are on this Zoom meeting, you're able to get on the classroom and click on the link. Like I said earlier, I'm going to try to make sure to post a reminder a couple minutes before class each day with the Google Meet link posted on there. But if you're not able to get to that reminder or you're having trouble finding it, there's also a Google Meet link posted on the front page of our Google Classroom right here. So any Tuesday and Thursday between 5 p.m. and what time does this class end? 6:30? Between 5 and 6:30, you'll be able to click on this link and it should hook you right into the Google Classroom or the Google Meet that you guys are in right now. So the first page, the stream page, this is just kind of where the announcements and stuff are going to get posted. The most important page for you guys, as some of you I'm sure are well aware, is going to be the classwork page. So yours is going to look a little bit different than mine because mine has all this behind the scenes stuff that hasn't been posted yet. But any notes for this class, daily assignments for this class, or not announcements, or other important information about this class, including the videos of our different classes, are going to be posted on our IPC Night Google Classroom. So this is going to be your kind of one-stop shop to keep up with everything that goes on in this class. I already posted the syllabus, which we'll go through briefly today. And that is going to have a lot of crucial information about stuff for this class. You also are going to have a syllabus quiz coming up as one of your future assignments this week that you can go back and look at the syllabus to help you answer some of the questions on there. But we are in week 1. And so, ooh, neat. See, I'm even learning how exactly all this stuff works. So I wanted to make sort of a welcome to IPC presentation for y'all to give you guys not just either a kind of reminder or an overview of what's going to be going on in this class so far, but also about kind of things at the Excel Center in general as we keep going in this online environment. So this is IPC. In case you're wondering, IPC is a science class, and it stands for Integrated Physics and Chemistry. So sometimes people will take physics as its own separate class and chemistry as another separate class. IPC kind of puts them both together. So here is my email address, which a lot of you are familiar with already, since your first assignment was to send me an email to this address. This is a really good way to keep in touch with me if you ever have any questions about anything. I also get this email on my cell phone. I have it set up to go to the email on my phone. So I'm always able to check and respond to questions. That doesn't mean that I always will. So if you try to send Mr. Stanley an email asking a question at 11:30 at night, I'm asleep by then. So I might not get to your email until sometime later the next morning. But I will do my best to respond to any and all questions that you guys have if you want to send them to that email there. And a little bit later on, we'll talk about some other ways that you can get in touch with me as well. So I want to start off by introducing myself a little bit. Normally, if we were in person, I would have everybody tell me a little bit about yourself, but we've got like 15 people in this Google Meet class, and so we might skip over that for today. We're going to spend most of today talking about some of the different class policies in terms of attendance and grades and stuff like that. And I'll give you guys a little brief introduction to some of the content for this course later at kind of the end. So my name is Michael Stanley. You guys can call me Mr. Stanley or Mr. Michael, or sometimes just Mr. Well, I usually figure out who you're trying to talk to. I was actually, well, I wasn't born in Texas, but I was raised in Austin my whole life since I was about, I think I was 4. Just before I was 4 is when my parents moved down here. So I grew up in North Austin, went to elementary school, middle school, high school, all in the North Austin area. After high school, I went to Texas A&M University, Giga Maggies, for my undergrad degree in biology or zoology, which is biology of animals. And then after I finished college, I said, you know what I really want to do now that I've done with 4 years of college? More school. That sounds awesome. So I went to grad school in Ohio. Grad school is like a school you can go to after you get your college degree. I went to a school called Miami University, which is confusing because it's not the Miami you're thinking of. It's not in Florida. It's in southwestern Ohio, right about where Cincinnati is at, down in here. So Ohio is very cold in the wintertime, and the cold in the wintertime lasts for a very long time, which I was not a huge fan of. There were some good things about going to Ohio. I did end up graduating with my master's degree in biology while I was there for several years. And I also met my then girlfriend and fiance and now wife. So we met in school in Ohio and have been married a little over 2 years at this point. And so after we both finished up school, I was done with living in Ohio, and she was interested about moving closer to where I wanted to be. So we moved back down here, back to Austin, about a little over a year ago now, actually. Last May, we moved back down here. A, because the weather and the food is a lot better here than in Ohio. But B, also to be closer to my parents and my family, because we had a baby on the way. So baby Charlotte was born in July. So she is a little bit over a year old now. And doesn't quite look like that anymore. That's from like a couple days after she was born. But this is a little bit closer to what she looks like now. So she's doing great. I get to watch her in the mornings. And then when I'm getting ready to night school, she goes to daycare. And then my wife picks her up from daycare on the way home in the evenings while I'm here with you guys. So it's a good system. And I'm very happy to be back here in Austin and to be at the Excel Center, where I absolutely love teaching and going through some cool science stuff with you guys. So that's a little bit about me. I always feel like it helps for students to kind of know who their teachers are, that we're not just these like random authority figures at the head of the classroom or that you're seeing on your computer screen, but we're people too. So normally, like I said, if we were like back in person and going through stuff, I'd be asking about like everybody's name and how long you've been here and your favorite animal, because I'm an animal person. That's why I went to school in the first place, was to learn about animals, really. This is mostly what it was for. But we're going to skip over that for now, since there are a lot of you and we only have so much time to get through some really, really important information about online school at the Excel Center. All right, so this class is IPC, which is a science class. Specifically, we're really going to be focusing a lot on the C part of class, the chemistry part, because as a biology person, that's really kind of what hits me the most, is how all these different things interact with each other. But we will talk a little bit about the physics part at the end too. So we're going to talk about at the beginning, just like how do we think like a scientist? How do we think about the world scientifically? What is all the stuff in the world made of? How do the different chemicals that are around us in the world stick together or make reactions with each other? And then how do things move around? How can we measure things about that are moving throughout the world? So that's sort of some of the basics about what this class is going to be about. All right, so the most important thing that we're going to talk about today has to do with attendance. So as I mentioned before, we're only meeting as this Google Meet classroom on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But if you're in a class in term 1, you know that that's not the only work that you have to do is come to class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You still are going to have to earn attendance on Monday and Wednesday. And so on those off meeting days, there'll be daily assignments that get posted on the Google Classroom that you can complete in order to earn your attendance for that day. So we meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays on this class. So that's one way to get your Tuesday, Thursday attendance. There'll also be these daily assignments that get posted every single day of the week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday, there will be a new daily assignment posted. So on the days where we don't have a Zoom class, like a Monday or a Wednesday, you can do one of these daily assignments in order to get your attendance credit for that day. And even on the days that we do have a Zoom class, if you're not able to hop on to the Google Meet and attend, if something comes up and you're not able to make it that day, it's okay, because there will be a daily assignment that gets posted on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. And if you're able to complete that daily assignment, you can still earn credit for attending that day. You can still be marked present for that day. You are expected to come to these Google Meet meetings every Tuesday and Thursday that we have school, which I'm pretty sure, I don't think we have any Tuesday, Thursday holidays besides Thanksgiving, but you get the whole week off for Thanksgiving. And so you are expected to be here, but I know that life will intervene a lot, stuff will come up, and you won't be able to make it to a Google Meet meeting on some of those days, or you have to leave early or come late. And so as long as you're able to complete that daily assignment, you'll be able to earn that attendance credit for that day. So you are required to come to class or to complete those daily assignments 80% of the total class days in order to earn credit. In the first term, we were pretty lax about this because it was such a new thing, not only for all of you guys, but for all of us as well. Like the first couple weeks, we had all sorts of issues with the behind the scenes part of taking attendance and getting everything correct on Skyward and everything like that. But this term, we have pretty much everything ironed out as far as we're aware. And so we're going to be a lot stricter about this 80% rule. So much so that something that they are planning on implementing is that for a night school, you can have up to 5 absences and still qualify for getting that 80% attendance rate. So if you miss 5 days, you're still going to be above 80% for your attendance. If you miss more than 5 days, if you miss 6 or more days of daily assignment or Google Meet meetings, you could be automatically dropped from the class. As in, Skyward knows, since I have to put in the assignment every week, Skyward will know, hey, this person has 6 absences, and you could possibly get automatically booted from the class. I don't want this to happen to anybody except for people who really just aren't able to make it ever at all. And so the best way to avoid this is just making sure to check in to the Google Classroom and doing an assignment every day. Again, especially on Monday and Wednesdays, since we don't have the Google Meet meetings, you'll have to do an assignment on those days in order to get your attendance credit for Monday and Wednesday. And then on Tuesday, Thursdays, if you come to the Google Meet meeting, you don't necessarily have to do an assignment on that day. You'll have your attendance credit from coming to the meeting. But if you're not able to come, you will have to do that assignment. Plus, at some point in the future, you're going to have to do that assignment anyways, because all of your assignments in this class count for a grade. Sometimes it'll be a big grade. Sometimes it'll be a small grade, like your initial assignments, that welcome email and welcome text message. Those are just 1-point assignments, making sure that you did them or not. But the biggest takeaway is that make sure you do something for this class every day of the week, Monday through Thursday. That is the best way to make sure that you're keeping up with all of your assignments and that you're getting all of your attendance. So I want to take a quick pause right there and see if anybody has any questions about anything so far, about attendance or IPC class in general. Anybody, any questions about anything that we've talked about so far?
No.
Awesome, thanks, Khadija. If you ever do think of a question that you want to ask, or you have a question, but you're embarrassed about talking in front of all of these people, which is totally understandable, there's also the chat function in Google Meet, just like there is chat in Google Classroom. So you should be able to write something in the chat as if you're sending a text message, and then I can see that and come back and answer it to the group later on as we go on. But again, main kind of takeaway to get here is that in order to stay in this class, in order to make sure that you don't have too many missed days, make sure that you come to as many of these Google Meet meetings as you can. And make sure that you're checking the Google Classroom every day for the new daily assignment. So it'll be posted at the very beginning of the day, 12:01 a.m. And I always set the due date for that particular day, just so that you know, hey, here's your daily assignment. Make sure that you're able to do it in order to get your attendance credit for that day. All right, and for people who are just joining us recently, I am making sure to record this meeting. So if you want to, I know I see a couple new faces popping on. So if you want to go back and kind of rewatch me going through some of this stuff in the future, I'll post the video of this meeting on our Google Classroom.
Mr. Stanley.
Yes.
IPC, do we have to take it for another term, or is it just like a one-time thing? Or is it
This is the only IPC class, so this is a one and done. And so it's different from like biology has the 2 sections, and I know algebra has the 2 sections, and some of the English classes have the 2 sections, but not IPC. IPC, once you finished with this class, then you don't need to take another IPC class while you're at the Excel Center.
Thank you.
No problem. Good question. All right. So that is the, actually, hold on, I'm going to try doing it a different way. All right, so can everybody see my screen where it says new for term 2 up at the top?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Like I said, I'm also still learning exactly how Google Meet shares the screens and stuff. All right, so that was the attendance policy, which again boils down to make sure that you're checking the Google Classroom every day and doing the daily assignment when it's due. And if you keep up with that, then you should have no attendance problems in your future. So if you do fall a little bit behind and you miss 1 or 2 days, so you get a little bit behind on your work, that is totally fine. Whoops. It is okay. Even though the due date for a assignment might be on a specific day, you can come back and turn that in at any point in the future for full credit. So if you're checking the Google Classroom, then it should be pretty easy for you to see what you have missed. It'll usually tell you like, here are all the assignments that you have not finished yet. If you're ever not sure if you missed something or you think you turned something in, but it still says that it's missed, reach out to me and let me know. And I can pretty easily check and see if you turned something in. So as long as you get that assignment turned in at some point while this class is going on, that is fine by me. I understand that sometimes people get behind on something, or you get stuck on something and you just don't have time to finish it on the first setting. As long as you get it turned in to me by the end of term 2, I will still take it for full credit. So again, though, just as a reminder, pretty much all assignments you can turn in on your own time. You can complete and turn in when you're ready to work and finish on them. But assignments will only count for attendance on the day that you turn them in to me. So say, for example, next week you got sick on Monday and Tuesday and missed those assignments, and then you turn in your Wednesday one, and then on Thursday you turn in your Monday and Tuesday and Thursday assignment, you only get the attendance credit for Thursday. So if you miss a day for attendance, then you miss a day, and that is it. So you can't go back and get credit for attendance on past days by turning in the work late, but you can still get a grade on your work, and I'm not going to take off any points if you get it turned in late, as long as you get it turned in, period.
Larissa's here. I'm sorry. I had to
Hey,
go.
No worries. Thanks for hopping back on. So, speaking of turning in work and completing the work, all of the assignments that you're going to have this term, as you might suspect, are going to come to you digitally through the Google Classroom. So if you want to work on and finish this work, there are a couple different ways that you can do so. Most assignments, I'll put up two different versions of the assignment. A Google Form version, which is like a separate website it'll take you to where you can fill out the assignment like question by question, kind of like you were submitting a survey. Or a Google Doc, which would be a little bit closer to typical homework, where you have your own copy of the worksheet and document form, and you can go in on it and type in your answers as if you were typing on your own paper. So that's probably the easiest way and the way that most people in the past have completed their assignments. If you really don't like doing your work on the computer, you really like having that feel of the paper and the pencil or pen in your hand, that is totally fine as well. You can also complete work if you have a printer at home or a printer at work that you're allowed to use. I know some people last term would print out their assignments, print out their documents, and then fill them out with pen and paper. If you don't have a printer, if you just take a blank sheet of notebook paper and fill it out with your name on it and your answers clearly labeled for the different questions, that is also a totally fine way of completing your work as well. So once you've finished the Google form or the Google document, or you've printed out your worksheet and written on it, or written out your answers on a blank sheet of paper, how do you get it turned back into me? That is a great question. You can either, if you fill out the Google form, once you hit submit, that'll automatically send your answer, a notification to me saying that you finished with the form and that you submitted it. You could, if you fill out the Google Doc, then there's a button on the Google Classroom that just says turn in. And so you can turn in your work on there, and it will allow me to see that you turned in your work, and here is what you wrote on that document. And so those ones you can submit directly on your phone or computer. It'll send your work, send your answers directly to me. If you printed out a worksheet or you wrote down your answers on a piece of paper, if you take a picture of them with your phone, if you take a picture of your answers, you can email me that picture to my email, michael.stanley@goodwillexcel.org, which again, that was your first assignment that got posted, was to send me a email to that email address. And most of you did that splendidly. There we go, sorry. Or you could also text your work to me at my school number, 512-531-5457. And so if you text that work to me, I'll be able to see that you sent it in and know that you should get credit for work on that assignment. So either finishing it on the Google Doc or the Google form that is on the Google Classroom, that'll automatically send your work to me. All you have to do is hit that turn in button on the Google Classroom or the submit button on the Google form. Or if you wrote it down on your own piece of paper, you can take a picture of your work and email it to me or text it to me. And I'll be able to get it on my phone or my computer. All right. Any questions so far? Let's do this. Any questions so far about completing your work in this class, doing your work, are ways that you can turn it in to me.
I don't have a question. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Silda Orisa, and I was trying to log in early. I was a little bit difficult, but I did already. So I'm here.
Awesome. Awesome, Ilda. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks for hopping on. And again, like I was saying earlier, it's totally fine by me if you guys are a little bit late to these classes or you have to leave a little bit early. I understand stuff is happening, but just try to attend as much of these classes as often as you can. The more that you attend, the more information they are able to hear me go over, and the easier that I think the class will go for you overall. All right.
So we got to attend every class to get attendance now?
So if you're not able to attend class on a particular Tuesday or Thursday, there will also be a daily assignment that gets posted that you can do that'll also get you your attendance credit. And so I would definitely highly recommend coming to these Tuesday, Thursday classes on the days that you're able to. It'll make your life a lot easier in terms of figuring out the notes and the material and stuff like that. But if you aren't able to come to a Google Meet class on one of those Tuesday, Thursdays, there will still be a daily assignment that gets posted on that day. And if you complete that assignment on that day, you'll get attendance for that day.
All
Okay.
All right, good question, guys. Thank you. Any other questions about attendance or completing work or anything like that?
No.
All righty. And again, if you ever do have questions about anything, not only do you have access to the notes that I'm going through right now, and also the syllabus, which I'll show you in a second, that also has a lot of this good information on it. But I'm also recording this class, so you can go back and watch the recording if you want to hear me go through some of this information once again.
Okay.
Hold on, what's going, what are we doing? There we go. That works a little better, I think. All right. So then finally, just a kind of couple things I want to mention about IPC class itself. So like I said, IPC stands for Integrated Physics and Chemistry. So the chemistry part is actually the part that we're going to start off with first and kind of talk about chemistry, which is how everything in the world, what everything in the world is made out of. So everything is made out of and chemicals. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how are these chemicals made up? What are some of the different properties of these chemicals when they're in like a solid versus a gas versus a liquid? What are these atoms? How do they interact with one another? How can we get information about them from this big scientific chart called the periodic table? And how do these atoms stick together and come into contact with one another? At the end, we'll also talk a lot about physics, which is the branch of science that deals with taking physical measurements and looking at motion. So we'll talk about what are properties that physical objects can have and how do we measure them? And then how can we determine how objects will move when they come into contact with other forces or other objects around them? The major kind of categories of stuff that we go through in this class. We'll talk a lot about the chemistry and how these different atoms and chemicals all interact with each other. And we'll talk a little bit about physics. Like I mentioned, these notes are posted up on the Google Classroom under the notes for today. So today is October 27th, Tuesday. So the Tuesday notes for today, these welcome to IPC notes, you guys can go back and look through at any time. A lot of this information is also posted in the syllabus, which is basically just kind of a document version of the different information posted in these notes. So again, you have my email and my phone number listed here if you ever need to go back and look it up, if you want to get into contact with me. I mentioned that this class meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 6:30, and it also has the Google Meet link posted here as well. So I mentioned some of the different online policies, specifically regarding the Google Classroom and how to get in there, which most of you should be pretty much all set on at this point, since you are here with me in this class tonight. It has a brief overview of these attendance requirements. So meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but there'll still be assigned work that goes up every day of the week. And on Mondays and the Wednesdays, work to turn
Mr.
in
Stanley?
or to get your attendance. Yes.
I'm sorry. We're having trouble hearing you. You keep like cutting off, and I think it's because someone's mic's on.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. Again, I am also learning my way through Google Class or this Google Meet stuff alongside you guys here. Oh, Miss Copeland's here. Hi, Miss Shanna. And
I'm doing good. How are you?
doing good. Thanks for dropping in on us. All right. Ilda, if I could ask that you keep your microphone muted. I think it's picking up some of the background noise wherever you're at. And that might be what's causing interference for a couple people. But hopefully everybody should still be able to hear me just fine. And if you ever have a question, please feel free to unmute. Okay, see, now I see people saying in the chat that they're having some trouble hearing. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to try and figure out a good way to be able to see you guys in the Google Classroom and the stuff that I'm showing you at the same time, which Zoom was good at. And so we'll sort of be figuring that out as we go along as well. Hold on, maybe I'll do some tinkering with it later on. So again, on our syllabus, we have a reminder about making sure that you're turning something in, especially on Mondays and Wednesdays when we don't have class. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, if you're able to come to the Google Meet, then that counts as your attendance. So you don't have to do the Tuesday and Thursday assignments on those days. But it's still good to do them soon, since they are still due for a grade. And also, if you're not able to come to the Google Meet for whatever reason, you can still do those Tuesday, Thursday assignments and earn the attendance credit that way. So every single day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there'll be an assignment that gets posted that you can turn in order to earn attendance credit for that day. And again, this term, the campus directors are looking at implementing an automatic drop policy where you could potentially be automatically kicked out of this class if you have more than 5 days of missed classes. So make sure that you're checking in every day, keeping up with your attendance. If you're ever worried about what your attendance looks like, how many days that you've missed, you can always reach out to me and talk to me about it. And I'll be more than happy to kind of make sure that you're staying on track to get your IPC credit by the end of the term. And then again, when you're ready to finish and turn in your work, you can either fill out the online forms or the Google Doc that gets posted on the assignment. Or if you really want to, you can print out your worksheets at home or just write them down on a scratch piece of paper at home, as long as your name is on it. And it's easy to read what your answers are. And then you can either directly turn in your work on Google Classroom if you do it electronically through that Google form or Google Doc, or you can upload a picture of your handwritten work onto the Google Classroom. You can email me a picture of your handwritten work, or you can text your work directly to me. One last thing that I want to mention is about your grades. So I'll do my best to keep up with your work as you turn it in and try to get it graded and returned back to you as soon as possible. Again, especially this term, there are a lot of you guys and just one of me. And so it might take me a couple days to get around to grading everybody's work. But I'll return it to you, let you know, hey, here are the questions that you missed, and here is what the right answers actually are. And I'll post the grade that you got for that assignment on the Google Classroom. But I do want to mention that that is not your official class grade. In order to see that, you have to log on to your Skyward account. If you've never been on Skyward before, that's the main kind of online portal that we use for all of your official attendance and grade information. And so you can't just know what your grade is by looking at the Google Classroom. You would have to look up your official grade on Skyward in order to see how you're doing in the class so far. Your Google Classroom might give you a good idea, and it's a good way to check if you're still missing anything, as at least on my end, any missing assignments show up as like a big red, this is missing kind of square on your grade. But you can't say, oh yeah, I'm passing IPC. I checked my Google Classroom and everything looks fine. You have to make sure to check your Skyward if you want to know your official class grade. You can either, if you know what your Skyward is, they have a phone app and a computer website that you can go to. And if you're having trouble logging into your Skyward, please make sure to reach out to your life coach. And they are the people who can either tell you what your username and password are, or help you reset your password so that you can get back onto Skyward. And you can use Skyward to check your grade, check your attendance, look at your schedule, and all sorts of really useful stuff like that. Right, so I think the last thing that I wanted to show you guys is that I mentioned for pretty much each of the assignments, daily assignments that you guys will be doing in this class. If you want to do them electronically, there are two different ways to do it. So, for example, I'm about to give you a little sneak peek here. And so tomorrow, your assignment is going to be a syllabus quiz, which is just a short 5-question quiz about some of these different policies and stuff that we've gone over tonight. And so last term, what a lot of people really liked using was the Google Form version, which looks like this and is very easily accessible on both your computer or your phone, if that's what you use. So you just go through and answer the different questions, and then hit this submit button at the end. And when you hit the submit button, not only will a copy of your answers be emailed to your school email address, but also it'll send me a notification that you completed the form, which not only lets me take attendance and say, all right, this person did their daily assignment, so they get attendance, but it also allows me to click through and check your answers pretty easily. If you would rather fully write stuff out, instead of using the Google form, there's also the Google Doc version of a lot of assignments, which looks a little bit more like your traditional worksheet, where everybody will have their own copy of, in this case, the quiz, where you can go and write under each question. You can write out the answer to it. And then after you're done filling out the form, when you go back to the classroom, there should be a button in there that says turn in that you can click on, and that'll send me a notification that you just submitted this work and you are finished filling out your answers. So those are probably the two most common ways that people turned in their work last term. Especially people really like the Google Forms, which is also a little bit easier for me to keep track of as well. But if you prefer using the Google Docs and seeing the whole worksheet at once and writing everything out, that is totally fine as well. And then don't forget that if you would rather just look at the questions, but then write down the answers by hand on your own paper, that is totally fine as well. All of those are totally valid ways of completing your work and getting it turned in. And I think that is everything that I can think of that you guys may need to know going into IPC class for term 2. Does anybody have any final questions about the attendance or grading or keeping up with work or the Google Classroom or turning stuff in or anything else related to taking IPC online in term 2?
Not for me. No question.
Alrighty. Well, as always, if you guys do have questions, you can go back and look at the welcome to IPC notes that are posted for today, or go back and look at the syllabus, which has a lot of this information on it as well. I'll post the recording of this meeting on our Google Classroom. There's a section called class video recordings that'll make sure to post the video of me going through these notes on today.